Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I apologize for the late start. We have one other member of our team who is on the way. We're going to go ahead and get started, though, so thank you for being here. And thank you to those of us joining online. We're glad that you have chosen to tune in. Today we're talking about the sanctuary renovation that's proposed. Our team has been working for several months on this. Previously, there was a whole process that we went through as a congregation to talk about what kind of things we wanted to do in here and our priorities and values around that. And operations team met with us on Wednesday, and they approved the plan. And so now we're sharing with the congregation, and then the church council will meet after worship today, and it's up to them to give kind of final stamp of approval. So, but as we go, feel free to ask questions. I do want to give us an outline of what we're doing today. So the first thing is we'll talk about the things that we learned in the initial session, so all the priorities and values that we kind of talked through. And then we'll go through 5 different areas that we are looking at working on in the sanctuary. And we'll do these in order, and so I know there'll be an impulse to ask a question about one when we're talking about another. If you can hold that impulse and just wait until we're actually talking about flooring to ask about flooring, or we're actually talking about the seating to talk about the seating, we'll get to all your questions, but it's a little easier if we do it in order, I think. So, all right, any questions ahead of time before we get into all that? All right, very good. All right, Robert, can you show us the next slide? All right, so reminder where we've been. Back, I think the end of last year and into the first of this year, we had several meetings with the congregation and talked through kind of things that we wanted to do. And you may remember we put the dots up on the boards and stuff. So these were the values that we heard from the congregation, kind of the priorities when we were talking about doing this work. So Robert, if you can show the next slide. The first, and I apologize, it is kind of hard to see, but is to maintain a traditional, reverent, and sacred feel within the sanctuary. So we want to, this is set apart space, it's holy space, and we want to keep that feel in this area. So we're not turning it into like a multi-purpose gymnasium kind of situation. It is staying the sanctuary, and we want to maintain that traditional reverent feel. So that means no major structural changes. We're not tearing down any walls, we're not replacing the windows, we're not taking the piano and the organ out, nothing like that, right? We're doing some kind of smaller things that will update the feel and provide some flexibility and some things and make it safer, but no huge changes. All right, so the second priority was to improve the ability of the congregation to access the worship service. So part of that is being able to see and to hear, and so lighting and audiovisual is part of what we've looked at. But we just want to make sure that everyone has the best experience they can have while they're in our space. The next one is safety. So part of the impetus for this is we've had folks trip and fall here in the sanctuary because the floor is uneven and the electrical boxes are sticking up out of the floor, and there's all these levels and stuff. So we just want to make this a safe space for our congregation. So many of the decisions were motivated around that. And then the last priority was flexibility and ease of maintenance. We want to have this space be usable for us in the best possible way. And so there are some things that are built into this proposal that give us a little more flexibility than we currently have. And we also kept in mind the need to maintain the space as we were making some decisions about things. So any questions? That's just kind of a recap, but any questions about those? All right, very good. Up next, we are talking about the chancel area, and Mark is going to share with us about that.
All right, good morning. This is exciting. So we are going to talk about what changes we're planning to do on the chancel area. There's going to be, once we get started, there's going to be some demolition of the area, and we're going to ultimately end up raising it to the level of the back wall where the choir pews are currently. You can look at this rendering. Jay did a great job doing all of our rendered drawings, but they're not perfectly detailed. So there's some things that you might notice here, and I don't want anybody to be alarmed. The color, nothing is happening with the stone back here. I know it's a different color in the picture, but we're not touching that. He just couldn't get it quite right on the computer. The pulpit and lectern are going to be the same as they are currently. They're not going to be what you see in the picture. It was hard to put those into the computer drawing. So what's going to happen with those? We have a carpenter who will take the existing pulpit and lectern. He's going to modify them and make them mobile so they can be still up here and usable, but they'll be exactly the same. So that'll be nice. So that's part of the, we wanted the traditional feel. We wanted to keep things that were elements of our existing space and update them, and that's part of that. We want to keep those because they are, they're well made and they're part of what we like to see. Let me see if I can see my yeah, so making everything one level. As I mentioned, we're going to be up higher on the chancel area. We'll come out farther. We're going to remove these walls will come down. Oh, thanks. And let's see where we are. And then the prayer rail will also be modified because everything is going to come forward a little bit. So we're going to have better access for communion. There'll be more space back here for people who are servers to walk back and forth. There's going to be more room in the front for people to move around. And then we also have access on each side. There is a handrail shown. So access to coming up the steps will be, there'll be a handrail to help with that. And access around the side of the prayer rail. So that should make things a little bit easier for people who want to come up. If we have speakers or people who are coming up, you can come up from the side. You don't have to come up straight up the middle. Yeah, so that's pretty much where we are with that. We have cost numbers on all of these. If you want to get into the cost of things, we can do that. Maybe right now might not be the best time for that, but we can certainly do that. That includes all of the demolition and the work that's going to be done and the refurbishing. And then there's going to be, we'll get into flooring later, but this will be a hardwood surface up here on the chancel area. So, and also the current altar will be the same as well. That's going to be another piece that we will have, that will be existing and will be returning, but it'll just be movable. So we can move things around in the space. The organ and the piano, the same way. They're going to stay, but they can be moved off to the side if we need to. All right. Any questions on chancel? Oh, here we are. Yeah.
The altar is going to stay, so it won't be as open as this picture looks. Is that right? Correct. Okay. Okay, and then the lectern and pardon me.
Yes, that will still be in the middle. Correct.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. And then the pulpit and the lectern, they will stay, but they'll be independent. There won't be a wall there on either side. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right. So those will be. They're going to be a little bit shorter because these are up high and they go up several steps. So they'll still be at the same height above the floor here, but there'll be something that we can move around. But yeah, they'll be the same. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I think that was all.
Or the choir, if we were to have a choir?
Absolutely. This is going to be even a bigger space than we have currently.
Okay.
So part of, when we get into seating, part of the things that we're going to have is some flexible seating. We're going to have some pews that are movable. They're half the length of a standard pew. So and those can be picked up and moved. So if you wanted to have a choir, you could put a dozen pews back there and have seating, or we could do chairs, or everything is very flexible. So that would absolutely, we could do that. That's part of the reason we wanted to do this. We could have, you could have a concert up there and have multiple instruments and things and access. Yeah. It will. It currently is, I believe, but it will be. Yes, it'll be. I'm not sure if it'll be on wheels or what it will be, but it will be something that if we need to, we could move it out of the way if there was something going on. If you had if you wanted to do a play or you wanted to do some kind of thing that you needed the space around, we could move it out of the way.
Mark, how far out will it come? You said that it's going to be like one level with steps in front and steps on the side, it looks like. Is that right? And then how far out will it come? And then the prayer rails versus where the pews start today?
Right. So we're going to be coming out to, I don't know the exact distance, but it's out beyond the walls.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty close to where the prayer rail is now.
So yeah, we're going to, almost out to here, where the top will come out. And then the prayer rail will be moved out. And actually, when we are done, the first couple rows will be
There was just one more thing that I noticed
Yeah.
different in the picture, and these two structures mounted on the wall, I don't know what the purpose
Yes,
is.
those are staying. I had that on my notes. I forgot to say that. Yeah, it's just a decorative grill, and there's I think there's speakers for the organ back there. That is staying, and nothing is going to change with those.
Okay, so the wood and all that will stay too?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. And then, yeah, there's going to be audio visual. There's some things going on with speakers and sound that'll happen back there, but we'll do that one in a minute.
Piano going up in the raising like the picture?
It'll be similar to where it is, but it'll be one level up, one step up. Everything's going to be one surface up here. We're going to use the exact same prayer rails, yes. So what will happen, they will be trimmed off at. But they'll be the same, the wood is the same. When we have we'll talk about seating later, but the pews will be refinished, and then the company that's doing that will also do the prayer rail and our altar pieces at the same time, so everything will look the same. It'll all match well.
All right, any other questions on the chancel? All right, I think I'm up
Okay.
next with the seating.
All right.
So Robert, if you can flip that slide one more. All right, so part of what we heard is that we like our traditional seating, and so we are keeping these pews and we'll refurbish them. Part of what that will mean is that they will be shortened. The side aisles, you've probably noticed, are pretty narrow. It's difficult for even one person to go and almost impossible for two to pass each other. And so we're going to take, I think it's about 20 inches off of the side, so that there's about a 4-foot aisle on each side to make it so a wheelchair could go through there and people can pass each other. Also, we will upholster the seat of the pews. And so currently we have cushions and they move around a lot, you may have noticed. So the upholstery will be, fashioned to the pew. Here's the sample, if we can pass it around so you can see it and feel it. It's nice and soft, maybe not quite as soft as the velvet that we have, but still pretty soft. I heard this morning that it's been tested for up to 100,000 touches before it starts to show wear. So I think that'll outlast all of us, which is great. One of the other issues we run into with our current pews is that the end caps split and fall apart. And so this proposal includes getting all new end caps on the pews. And they'll be one piece of solid wood, so they won't split. They'll be nice and new. And you can see as the weather changes, they split. So some of them are splitting right now. Mark mentioned this, but part of what we're planning to do is to have some flexible seating. And so the front row will be this flexible seating, and then 3 rows in the back will be flexible seating. And those are benches that won't match exactly our pews, but will be pretty close. The wood will look similar, and it'll have the same upholstery on them. So the pews will end up being 15 feet long, and each bench is 5 feet. So you can put 3 of them, and it'll match exactly the length of the pew. So we can move those around if we want to. I imagine that they'll stay in place most of the time, but if we need more space up front or need more space in the back, or we want pews or seats in the chancel for the choir, we have that flexibility to move those around if we need to or would like to. We will also have 1 row in the middle that is empty, and so that'll make a cross form in the sanctuary. So one of that is just the symbolism of the cross for us in the sanctuary. And a second is to provide kind of easier access to move around the sanctuary. As an example, when I'm serving communion out in the congregation, to serve on both sides, I have to walk all the way to the back and come all the way front. But if there's an empty row in the middle, it'll be much easier to kind of cut through. And it'll be useful for other things as well, but that's that. So I think that's everything on the pews. What kind of questions do you have? Sherry? Yes, so the wood will be the same. The cushion, so the sample that's getting passed around is the color. And so, did you get to see it?
Yes, but I'm wondering what's going to be the color of carpeting?
Yep, we'll get to the flooring in a minute, but it's that color right there. So we are going with kind of a more neutral set of colors. And Michelle's talking about flooring, and I'll let her kind of explain our reasoning behind that, because she's better at that than I am. So, yes, Linda.
Refinishing the pews, what does the tone of the wood like? Are we getting rid of this yellowy look?
So we're not, it's the same, it'll be the same color. There's no restaining or anything. So one of the options was to send the pews off and have them like completely stripped and restained and stuff. That was going to be a lot more expensive. And so we are recommending the option where they do it here in place. And they'll kind of work out any imperfections they see, but just kind of put new lacquer on it. And so it'll shine a lot more, but it'll be the same color. We will end up with fewer pews than we currently have, and so the ones that are in the worst shape are the ones that we won't keep. But that does mean that we'll have some extra pews, and so part of the thought is that maybe there might be some church members who would want a pew in their house or somewhere else, so we'll be talking about that down the line. So if you are interested in having an original Crevewood pew, keep that in mind. That's right, the end caps will be replaced. Yes. Yep, so that's another availability. Yeah. Yes, Judy.
Is the space between the pews going to be the same?
Great question. That was in my notes to address and forgot to. The space between the pews will be extended by about a couple of inches. So right now, it's not super narrow, but it is a little difficult to get in and out of, especially if you're using a walker or something. And I don't know, I have to turn sideways when I walk through. I don't know if everybody else has to, but hopefully we'll be able to kind of walk straight through if we need to and be easier to get in and out of. Yeah. Yes, Randy. Yep, so we will lose seating because of all this. So spacing the pews out, we lose some seating. Cutting the pews shorter, we lose some seating. And moving the chancel forward also means that we lose some seating. So our current seating capacity, if you say that 10 people can sit in a pew, is a little over 400 people. After this, it'll be a little over 300 people. So we are losing about a quarter of our seating, but we don't come anywhere close to filling it up presently. And if the seating is an issue, that's a wonderful problem, and we can always add a second service, right? Yes.
Will the back wall be open, any opening at all? Like if we, at Easter, I know, we usually have people sitting in the narthex, so.
Yeah, so the back wall will not be touched. So one of the things that we talked about kind of in the initial phase is whether to do that. We didn't want to end up doing huge structural changes. It also would be very expensive to do anything with that wall because it's load bearing and all that kind of stuff. So the back wall is staying the same. Yep. Right. Yep. Yeah. So again, there is that flexible seating in the back, so we can take things out and have more space if we needed it for something. Yeah. Good. Anything else on the seating?
So the benches will be there
Mm-hmm.
unless something is.
Exactly. Yeah. So they'll be there. They'll be seating for us, but we can move them if we need to. Correct. Yeah. Both sides. 1 row in the front and 3 rows in the back. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. On the bottom only, yep. So, and I was a little surprised by this, but when we talked to people in the initial phase, everybody thought that the hard back was fine on the pews. So, so we're sticking with the hard backs. All right. Up next is Michelle talking about flooring for us.
So exciting. So we took a lot of the things that everyone had asked for when we were looking at flooring. And there was, excuse me, questions about doing tile where this current tile is, and carpet where the carpet is, or doing tile all over, or hardwood. So there were just a lot of different thoughts that went into it. We landed on keeping the carpet where the carpet is and also on the pews. So everything down here will be carpeted. The chancel area will
Michelle, I'm going to give you this since you're moving around.
Awesome. The carpet that we've selected are carpet tiles because they are easy to remove should something happen, if a spill or a rip or something like that. And so they can easily be replaced if they're needed to. And the carpet tiles, as John mentioned, the way that there's going to be an area of pew removed and it's going to show across, these specific tiles can be laid a different way to actually call out the cross. So that's kind of what we're proposing. So it would be straight through here, like through the aisle, the center aisle, but then it can be laid in a different pattern, long ways through there. So anyway, that's kind of what we're thinking. And then this will alleviate any of the different surface levels, so that will help, keep it safer and eliminate, or mostly eliminate trip hazards. And and we can pass this around, you guys can come up and look at it. It's got a little bit of blue in it. And I asked Pastor John, I was like, there's been a lot of question about why the red, like why are we going to get away from the red? We've had the red, that's part of Creedwood, what if that's a concern? And he was like, well, typically, I hope I explained this correctly, typically red is associated with Pentecost. And so when we have all of the different pyramids up here and they're red, because our church is mostly red, it kind of loses that, so you don't really associate that with Pentecost maybe, but this kind of it's some color, but it's more of a neutral tone. So even the green, like what we have today, the white that we have for Easter, the red we have for Pentecost, it will show up and really it'll just be easier. Yeah, it'll pop. It'll just be more obvious what we're celebrating. And then also the way that the carpet, it's really cool because I never really paid attention to the blue in the stained glass, but it really pulls the blue out too. And then also in the Northex with the new that we've done out there, it's got some bluish gray, and this carpet tile goes nicely with that. The fabric from the seating that we've chosen goes nicely with the pieces that are out there. I even recommended that we might take those coral color pillows and cover them in the fabric that we're going to use on the pews, and so just tie it all together. But it's I feel like this is kind of what everybody asked for, and that's kind of what we've chosen. So, are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Carpet tile.
Mm-hmm.
We used that in our office when I was working, and we found that once there was a spill or we had to replace it, we could not get the same carpet tile because they didn't make it anymore. So I don't know, are you planning on having extra just in case that were to occur? We couldn't get the same pattern, is all I was saying.
Gotcha. That's a great call out. Thank you. And I think definitely we'll make sure that we have some extra on hand should we need to make any replacements. Yeah. Great question. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to talk about the hardwood next?
Yes, so we did talk about doing hardwood in the chancel area. It currently has carpet and parquet, for those of you that may not have been up there. We had some discussion about using the LVP tile instead of the actual hardwood. We went ahead and the unanimous vote was to go for hardwood. just because it's just pretty, right? It's just pretty. That's a great question. We did talk to the folks about the flooring, and they said, sure, that's awesome. Thanks, Andrea. So they said as long as the surface is stable and secure, that the hardwood will be glued down, it should not be a problem. There's currently parquet up here as well, and the acoustics, it shouldn't be a problem. But good question. Well, and so we're going to speak a little bit to the sound system and different things that are going to be in place for that as well. But definitely leaning towards having better sound. We know that's a challenge. Any other questions? Nope. Oh, yes, ma'am. Sure. Here, let me bring you the mic.
My observation has to do with the carpeting that'll be the same color as the cushions on the pews, isn't it?
It's similar, but it's not the same.
But it's still all a brownish color, right?
It's got some blue and cream and some brown, some taupe.
Okay, well, from here, I'm only seeing something that's a very dark brown.
Got you.
Yeah. My concern is, I know it's easier to maintain and you don't see spots and stuff like that as much when you have something like that. But I know that currently, aesthetically, when you're out driving around or you walk into any office, the monochromatic element of everything being gray or black and white or tones of brown, and I like those, but we've already got a lot of that in the pews and in the altar space, the chancel. And I'm just wondering, when you first walk in and you're seeing, like right now, the red rug and the red on the cushions, it gives a sense of warmth that is inviting. If everything's going to be monochromatic, and there's only going to be touches of color up there with paraments according to the liturgical moment of the season, it's very little. The only other thing that helps is the windows. That's just an observation that I don't know if it's going to tone down the warmth you get when you come in without having the liturgical color that we have right now, the red.
That's a really good observation. I do think it can look a little dark up there, but once everything is in, I feel like it's going to be more neutral, and I feel like the windows themselves are actually going to pop color, probably be a lot more noticeable than they are now. And it is a kind of a dreary day today, so that's not very helpful. But when the sun is out and the light that comes in to this sanctuary it's very bright. And we're going to talk about the lighting as well. So some of that's going to change too. So I understand and hear what you're saying, but I do think that it looks a little dark the way that it is up there. But if you get a chance to kind of see it together, it should lighten up. Plus, a lot of this dark on the wood is going to come off because it's got some oil built up and some just different things. So when it's cleaned up, it's going to be a little brighter too and not look so dim. So does that help? Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Nope. All right. Who's up next?
Oh. Yes. Yes, absolutely. It won't show us. Yes. Well, and the seating will then be secured to the bottoms of the pew. So getting the crumbs and the cracks and stuff like that, it won't be actually in the pew. So we'll probably, I don't know, I think Pastor John suggested maybe a rumba that could just run around. So, but yeah, good call. Thank you. So the tile will stay. We will carpet over it. It is asbestos, possibly a asbestos tile that we will not get into removing. It was like $40,000 more to remove the tile. Plus, it can open up a lot of different things. So we decided let's just leave it and carpet right over it. So they will be taking care. That's a great question. I meant to say that they'll be taking care of just making sure that it's a solid surface. So they'll be refinishing, doing whatever they need to do to level it out to make sure that it's not wavy or bumpy where they're going to lay the carpet over the tile. Great questions. We good? All right, lighting,
Okay.
take it away.
Good. Thank you. All right. So, make sure I can read here. Yeah, lighting was one of the options that John mentioned at the very beginning. When we looked back, we wanted better lighting. We wanted to upgrade things and see what we can do to make the areas out in the sanctuary more well lit, and as well as the chancel area. So part of what we're doing, and some of these things we really intended to, we really want to do things, and then some end up being extremely expensive, so they kind of have to get pushed aside. So as much as we would love to, we wanted to keep these and really update the lights, but the best option was to relamp them, which is we're going to have new bulbs in there that'll all be brighter in the same color so that everything will look uniform. You can see the ones we have now, some are yellow, some are white. So those will be updated and brightened. There'll also be some track lighting that will be hidden behind this beam here. It'll be up high, and it'll come down onto the chancel area. So that'll give some extra light up here. And then the lights in the ceiling, those will also be changed as well, the ones above the choir loft area. Those are really difficult to change, so that's why they've never been changed, but they were put up there, and they were really that's like a hospital bright white, so we can do a little bit better than that on those colors. The controls, if you've ever tried to turn on the lights in the sanctuary, you got to hold your tongue just right and wink an eye, and they come on. So that's going to be a much more logical system for turning everything on, and so whoever's doing the Christmas Eve service doesn't have to really hope that they come on when they're supposed to after we turn them off. So that'll be a much more less complicated system, I guess, for controlling everything. That's one of the things we do want. A lot of things we're doing, we're looking forward to when we're not here. What are we leaving behind? And want to make things easy for people as far as light switches and the audio visual and those kind of things, where things are up to date, where they can be understood easily and controlled and those kind of things very easily. I believe that is all we have. AV is a different line, so we'll stop with lighting. And any questions on lighting? Yeah. Can you make it dimmable? Yes. Everything will be dimmable. That's a good question. Yeah, and we'll hopefully you can do fronts and backs and sides and things like that, a little more controllable. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's correct. Correct. Mm-hmm. And then from the sanctuary, you won't be able to see that because it'll be on this side of the beam. right, anything else? All right, very good. I will say, one thing I forgot when the color of the hardwood that we were doing up here, we're trying to match roughly the color of the beams. So we want to keep, I know we have a couple different colors of wood going on, and then there's a parquet up here, so we're trying to keep things down to consistent colors. So that will try to match the beams and the grill pattern up here. So, yeah. Yes, the answer is yes, yes. So for $55,000, they have a lot of it is electrical work and things to do, but we are definitely going to make sure that everything is cleaned and updated, and we have bulbs, and then the pews will be movable still like they are today. They can be unbolted and moved. Access to these is pretty tricky, but we want to make sure there's bulbs in there that will last many, many years, so we're not having to change them out quite a bit. That would be. You'd have to add an extra digit in front of the 55 if you wanted to have them come up and down.
Is the difference in the coloring, is that due to the bulb?
It is, yeah.
Age of the
Yeah.
shed?
It could be a little bit of both, but I think it's mostly the color of the bulb. Like you can get one that's white and one that's a yellow, and the K level, 2700 is very yellow, and those are probably 4,000 or 5,000, the very white ones. So we just want to make sure they're consistent and then bright.
Are those shades, are they glass or are they?
I believe they are.
Glass?
I believe they're glass. Yeah. I don't know if plastic was invented when those were put in. That's a good question. I'm not sure. That'll probably be something that we, when our lighting engineer is here, they'll be kind of playing with shadows and how things hit different areas to try to maximize the light output and make sure things look nice. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah. Total cost. Just the lighting part of it is $55,000. We'll get to that one at the end. We can give you the grand total, so you can get your checkbook out and be ready. All right, AJ.
Thank you. All right, so audio-visual, something we heard a lot about. We already talked about. The hope is that in doing carpet throughout, that helps reduce some of the echo, the reverb in the room. Here's a floor plan, actually, from the top down, so you can kind of see the chancel area kind of bumping out into the space. I think it was, about 6 feet to the top, and then, of course, the stairs. But as far as audio-visual, we're going to relocate, the sound booth to the last permanently fixed row. So remember, the last 3 rows are movable seating. So the 4th row then and 5th row would be where the audio-visual booth resides. And there wasn't a huge cost in doing that. It was just it's more like how spaces are designed nowadays. And maybe it helps a little bit too to know that everyone can hear whenever you're EQing. The thing that we're investigating still is replacing the speakers with what's called a steerable line array. And those speakers would actually be mounted lower on the wall instead of high up at the ceiling. That would be closer to ear level. And the neat thing that we're still going to ask them to demonstrate for us before we decide to move ahead with the purchase of replacing the speakers is they can use software to tune the speakers to the space, because these tall cylindrical speakers are actually an array of many smaller speakers. And so they can move around with a microphone and make sure that everyone in every seat is getting relatively the same levels of audio. no matter where you're sitting in the space, which sounds really neat, but it's one of those things like we really want to hear it to know that it actually works. So they've agreed to do that before we would move forward with that purchase. It also includes rewiring the chancel area. While all of this is taken apart, perfect time to make sure we've got all the wires and conduit and everything, outlets where they need to be. And we're going to have new monitors and microphones, just updating those equipment. Apparently there can be some difficulty with feedback right now, the way that the monitoring system and the speaker system is. And so hopefully we will be able to address all of that so that people who need to hear themselves, musicians and speakers can hear themselves well without causing feedback for the rest of us who are out here listening. And then the total cost is around $60,000, and that includes if we move ahead with the speakers. I believe replacing the amplifiers and the microphones and the monitors is already, going to happen, but the speakers is like half of that cost would be the new speakers. So really want to make sure that those work the way that they're advertised to work before we do that. So are there any questions about audiovisual equipment? The TVs are staying, by the way. We're not replacing the TVs. They will stay where they are. The new speakers will mount, like I was saying, sort of, I think, below and kind of to the side of the chancel area. So the TVs don't have to move, we don't think. But anyway, are there any questions? Right, they remind me of, if you've ever seen like the Bose system that are PA systems. They're like really tall and skinny, cylindrical. We have a picture of them somewhere in like the packets that we have, but I don't think it's in the. Yeah. Imagine taking your sound bar, if you have one of those at home, and turning it vertical and mounting it to the wall. Yes, like a big pool noodle is a good visual. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. And we mentioned the packet. I do have a few packets that have like all the bids and proposals in them. So if you're curious about all the details, you can get one of those, and we'll have those for the church council afterwards. I'm just going to kind of summarize. So we've listed the price for each of the individual areas, and they are up on the screen there. Then there's also a cost for the general contractor and just kind of the general kind of stuff. So having a dumpster here and those kinds of things. So that cost is listed there. Some of the items we're using a general contractor for, and our plan is to use the same company that we used for the fellowship hall. They did a great job there. We have a good relationship with them, and so that's our plan. Part of their business model is that they charge 15% on top of the cost. So that's how they make money. So that is listed there as well. Then there are a few things that we're just kind of contracting on our own. So the pews are one of those, and the audiovisual. So we don't have the 15% premium on those items, just on kind of the more construction kind of things. So the total price is $341,600. So that's where we're at. Yeah. We are about out of time, but any other last questions before we wrap up? Yes.
I was just wondering how long this will take and where we'll meet during the construction period, that sort of thing.
So logistics, we have to figure all those out, but the contractor says 6 weeks, so I'm thinking 2 months, maybe 3 months, right? Because that's just how construction works. My hope is that we'll start the work soon after the first of the year and be able to be back in the sanctuary for Easter. Now, don't know if that'll work, but that's what's in my head and what my hope is. We will worship, unless somebody has another idea, in the fellowship hall in the meantime. So part of what that means is each week we'll have to set up chairs and everything else. So we'll be looking for volunteers to help with that as we go through that time. But we've got at least a little bit of time to figure all that out. Yes, Linda.
Any reason you can think of that might bump that further into the year? I mean, we thought maybe early this year.
Right. With construction, you just never know. We're not getting new pews, and so there's a huge lead time on that. So I don't anticipate anything, but with tariffs and everything else, who knows? Yeah. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you very much. Again, there are packets up here if anybody wants to, yes, group. All right, we'll take a short break. There's a video that Robert's going to show us of Mountaintop, the AIM trip. So you can watch that for a few minutes as we kind of transition into our worship time. So feel free to get up and move around if you want, or if you're comfortable right where you are, then feel free to stay there. And we'll be back for worship in just a few.